Okay, I'm back with another responsive video, and this is on behalf of our Beckman's dog training again, because let's face it, he just gives me a lot of content to work with. Now, a lot of people ask, Nikki, why don't you just go do your own videos? Well, here's the issue with that. It's hard for us to do videos in showing you some of the things that you probably see at home, like you see on his videos. We don't set our dogs up for failure. We set our dogs up for success in order to teach. His videos tend to show all the bad things, to show what kind of punishment to use to fix something. This video here is about a dog who likes to play chase. And obviously his owners want the dog to come when called because they're having problems getting him in the house. That's what I'm taking from the video. So let's just go through it. This is a short one. And let's just go through some of the things that are wrong and how you can do a better job of working on this at home with your dog, because I know a lot of people have that issue where their dog runs from them. So I want to get into this video and show you some things not to do and give you some advice on how to handle this.
This dog just got to our facility. He thinks it's a big game to not come. We're trying to get him in the office. Let's go in. I want to show you guys what he's doing. Jet! Jet, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. He knows the game, right? He's saying, this is what my mommy does. She tries to get me, and then I run away like it's a big game.
There are a lot of dogs that think that their owner's coming for them is play because it looks like chase. And many times owners are coming at their dog in a very energetic way, whether they're mad, whether they're playful. It all really looks the same to the dog as far as energy level. So a lot of times dogs do see this as play, and as puppies, or at certain times, owners do play like this with their dog. So because we know it's a game, we really should have this game on command. I like to let them know when it's okay to play, or I teach, or I should say, or I teach a stop command. So I let them know when the game is over. So it's like a buzzer at the end of a quarter, right? It lets them know the game is over, or it's a break, or whatever the case may be. So we want to make sure if we are having a game like this with your dog, I like to teach a really good that's all, or all gone, or that's enough, or stop, or touch, or something that signifies the end of the game. Because there's nothing wrong with this being a game as long as you have a stop cue. You've got to be able to communicate to them when it's done. Now, with this particular part of the video, he's calling the dog to him, and the dog is coming. Instead of acknowledging the dog, he keeps moving away. And so my issue with this is if you're calling the dog, the second the dog starts coming, we really need to start praising and rewarding that. Because the dog doesn't come in doesn't necessarily tell me that the dog is trying to play or doesn't want to come all the way. It could be there's something with the threshold. Dog's not familiar with the inside of the building because you had just said the dog had just been dropped off. So the dog doesn't know you, doesn't know the facility, doesn't know the area. He doesn't know what you're doing. For us to immediately think a dog should be listening to us when we have no relationship built, that's a problem, right? My dog is not going to listen to you. And that has nothing to do with my dog's obedience or non-compliance. It's because there's no relationship that's built. If you want your dog to listen to you guys, you really need to build a relationship. It's not about command, command, command. You have commands that you can use to give information to your dog and request to keep your dog safe. But don't expect your dog to listen to you if you do not have a relationship. Now, that relationship can be what he likes to have, which is a dominating, scary, fearful, threatening relationship. Or you can build a trusting, secure attachment relationship to where when your dog is afraid, your dog is unsure, your dog comes to you. We have a really fun video, I think it's on TikTok, I may have put it on Instagram, where our dogs were in the woods, and because we have such a good relationship, all I did was say their names and said the word banana, and they came. Now, I've never taught banana to mean come. It's just because they heard my voice and they knew that their names were involved, that there was obviously something I needed to communicate to them. And that is about relationship. That's not about obedience. So let's keep going.
I'm going to go through the process. This is not a straight up recall. This is not just a coming video. That is not the key. This is get rid of the game, then get the recall 10 minutes down the road, a week down the road. Get rid of the game first. You don't get the recall if you don't get rid of the game. And we're getting rid of the game right now, not in a mean way, but in a, we are not to be completely played with. We're not jokes. When we say come, we mean what we say.
I don't see any reason to get rid of the game. I think that having this game is something your dog really enjoys. I think you can have this game. I do think it's important that we do have a start and a stop cue. And the dog could be the start and you end with the stop. So it's okay to have this game, but I really encourage you to have a stop cue. This is very important. And if you want to have a stop cue, using a long leash would help you do this. So you can play chase with a 30-foot leash, and then you can use your stop cue, and you'll have control with that leash to prevent the dog from just running too far away. So that is the thing there, is that I don't see any reason to stop the game. Second, I think having a recall is very important. And regardless if it's a game or not, your recall should work. Because if your recall can't work during a game where you're chasing, then your recall is not going to work out in real life when the dog is chasing deer, chasing a rabbit, going after another dog. So honestly, I think this is a really good time to practice your recall. However, I think the dog needs to learn the recall first and understand that the recall is a positive thing. If we don't make it positive for our dog to come to us, if we're going to punish them when they come to us because they took too long, if we're going to be mean to them when they come to us, if we're going to stop the fun when they come to us, they're not stupid. They're not going to come, and it has nothing to do with whether they think I'm a joke or not. That is all about the human perception, and what this dog's doing has nothing to do with what the dog thinks about him. But it seems that he has an issue with being disrespected, and he's going to make sure he puts his foot down on this. And that is where you guys have to be very careful that you don't let that mentality take over. I know we tend to want to be like, listen to me when I tell you to do something. Yeah, we all have those moments where we expect a response fairly quickly when we ask for something. But real life is that we're not always everyone's priority. And having the understanding that our dogs have a different priority than we do will help us to be more patient and more empathetic with our dogs, and will allow us to build a much better relationship.
Look at, he knows I can't get him. And look at this. It's the funnest thing in the world to this guy. Look at this. This is a lot of dogs. There's pure joy in the game, which a lot of you ask in the comments, how do you deal with this? I'm going to show you how you deal with it right now, okay? I'm going to give him a very clear cue. I'm going to say come, and I'm going to give him a place to go, as I call it. It's often been trained with treats by the owners or by me. Let's assume he, at 3 years old, he knows what this word means.
So this dog is having a great time, and I love seeing this dog having such a good time. Again, nothing wrong with having a good time. We just need to make sure that they understand when it's appropriate and when it's not. Just like with our children, we play chase with our children and play the I'm going to get it, I'm going to get you, or whatever, but we let them know when it needs to stop and when it's appropriate and when it's not. So here's a real issue here. He made the couple of statements. He said, I'm going to give a very clear cue of come. But then he goes on to say, let's assume the dog knows it. You cannot assume anything, because here's the thing with come. I watch people all the time tell their dog to come, but the expectation is different every single time. Sometimes the come means come to me and let me get my hands on you. Sometimes the come means come within an arm's length, and that makes me happy. Sometimes come means come into the room I'm in, or come into the house and you can bypass me and just go by. And so if we're not consistent with what we expect with our come, then our dog does not know what it means. And I guarantee if I asked 100 people If their dog knew how to come and what that looked like, they would not be able to define it in a way that their dog would understand. Nothing wrong. It happens, but I'm here to tell you, with your come, it's very important that you make sure that you are consistent every single time with your expectation. For us, come means to come to me, come close enough to where I can get my hand on you so we can make physical contact, and then wait for me to give you further information, whether that is to be released or to let me hook you up to a leash or follow me or whatever it may be. But I want to make sure I get my come behavior first and always ending it the same exact way. Touch, reward, release, or further information.
You have to have trained the behavior before you do this go-get method, okay?
So he says you need to train the recall before you do this. But he's assuming the dog knows it, so he hasn't taught it. So this is just my issue with this, is that he's assuming the dog knows it, but kind of knows the dog doesn't know it, tells you to make sure that you train your dog to do it before you do this, but then he gets pissed because the dog won't come to him.
And I don't think he's going to come. Here we go. Jet, come! And we're over it. We're done. Let's go, Laura.
One of the scariest things about aversive and balanced trainers, and I've talked about this before, in all seriousness, about it being abusive. He is 1 second being nice and kind, and the second that it disrespects him in his mind, he changes that attitude, and he is coming at the dog very differently, which you'll see in the next clip. He knew the dog didn't know it, called the dog didn't come, and now he's going to get mad about it. This is a real problem. This is not someone, and if you have this mentality, I encourage you to please get some work on that before you work with your dog, because it's not fair for the dog to suffer your insecurities and your anger. If you've not taught the behavior, don't punish the dog for not doing it.
I might give him another shot because he's been here 10 minutes, and I might not. It depends on how big of a joke he thinks I am.
I'm not saying all aversive and balanced trainers are like this, but I have come across a lot where they tend to think that the dog's behavior is a reflection on their status. And again, this is why I say the egos need to be checked at the door. Become a Planet Fitness, y'all. Check your egos at the door. This dog's been there a whole 10 minutes in a very new environment, doesn't have a relationship with this guy. He doesn't know what come means. And yet, all of a sudden, he's getting pissed off because he's being disrespected by a dog.
And many of you call me and you go, well, I have canyons. I can't get my dog. I'm going to get this guy, and you're going to watch me get it, and you're going to watch me struggle. And I'm not going to beg him, and I'm not going to go get treats.
So again, when you break this down and you start listening to it, you can see how much it's about him and not about the dog. It's about his success, not about the dog actually learning, because in his mind, it's all about him not getting disrespected. As you watch him follow the dog, what you're going to see is you're going to see a very confrontational behavior. So he's going to be very forceful. He's going to be bully behavior, which is what we've seen consistently. But this dog is going to go from, oh, I thought we were playing and having fun, to this, wow, you just changed on a dime without any real communication. Why? Because you asked him to do a behavior that you've already said he doesn't know. Your best bet would be to get treats. If you really wanted him to come, teach him to come using rewards, then work on the game. It shouldn't be separate. It shouldn't be, let's get rid of this game and then teach recall. You can teach recall and keep the game. Your dog can have all of it, and you can have what you need. We don't have to have one or the other.
Sit. Sit. Look at his body language. Sit. Good boy.
So in the beginning of the clip, he's being very confrontational. He's using that firm tone. He's almost stalking, which is like a play for the dog. And then as he is like coming in like, I'm just angry, he grabs the dog by the collar. And if you watch very carefully, and I'm sure my listeners and followers see it, how he grabs the dog, because he's mad. Because for him, the dog disrespected who he is and his authority. Instead of understanding the dog has just never been taught. And if it has been a game from his owners for 3 years, you can't just automatically start punishing it.
Not a great boy. He is not a great boy, but did not do the worst thing in the world.
The fact that he says that he's not a great boy because he didn't respond to his domineering demands, it's disgusting. This dog is having a great time, loving life. Everything is wonderful. You're speaking to him in a foreign language, and because he can't respond or not respond appropriately, you're saying that he is bad. That's a problem. That's a problem. And there are ways that we can use body language to get our dogs if they're not coming to us. If we don't have a good recall, if we don't have emergency recall, we teach touch as an emergency recall, and you can find that on our YouTube channel. You can teach a dog an inside cue or a spot cue, place cue. There are a lot of things that you can do to let the dog know what it is you need in that moment, other than running away from you. I don't see having to bully yourself. It's just going to make a dog more afraid, and then you're going to get a dog who's not running from you for play, but running from you because they fear the repercussions.
And we are going to see if he thinks it's a big game again. I doubt he's going to come to me, but we're going to see if he thinks it's a big game. All we got to do is lessen the game. Then eventually the recall happens.
When working with your dog, it is imperative that you set them up for success. You help them learn the right skills. He admits here, he doubts the dog's going to come to him, but he's going to try it anyway. So instead of putting the dog on a long leash and helping the dog learn, I'm just going to send him out, try to get him to come, and then I'm going to punish him when he doesn't. This is bass backwards, guys. And if you don't know what that means, it's ass backwards, okay? You've got to make sure we're setting our dogs up for success. They don't understand our language. Can we please? There's a reason why with children, we show them pictures with the name of that item, right? You show them a cup and the name says cup. Because if you just say cup with no context, they don't understand. We have to start setting our dogs up for success instead of just thinking about, oh, I got to do this so I can punish them in order to get what I want. If you just do the recall first, then the game is by itself. It's not together with the recall. A good recall will not be affected by the fun game. You can have them both.
Now, again, this isn't a recall. This is getting rid of the game. Let's see if maybe... Let's see if we can get a recall. Chet, come. Good boy. That's our best boy.
So it's not a recall video, but that's what he's doing, is just trying to recall the dog and then punishing the dog for not coming. The dog came to him on his own without running, and he totally ignored the dog and actually walked away. Because he's trying to set it up to say, when I do X, Y, Z, you do A, B, and C. Instead of just telling the dog, hey, no matter what I'm doing, the expectations stay the same. But again, if I want to make sure that I don't let the game work, I'm going to manage the situation because I got the greater brain. I'm going to put the dog on a long leash so they cannot run more than 30 feet from me. And then I can help them learn what it is that I want. This is just really, he's working way hard to really not even get the results that he thinks he's going to get.
That's our best boy. Where do treats involve themselves in this? They don't. For the recall, they might. This wasn't a recall video. This was...
Sorry. He did the recall. Like, why not reward the dog with treats? I understand what he's saying. Don't try to bribe your dog when the dog starts to run away in a chase game. I get that. But again, you can have both. You can teach the recall with rewards, and the game itself can actually be a reward. Okay, so I can call my dog to me, reward them, and then start the chase game. And then even the recall could be the end of the chase game where I can reward the dog, and then we can start the chase game again. And you can actually use that as the reward instead of food, or you can even do both. I'll do both. I'm like, here's your treat. Now let me chase you, because let's be real, I know I can't catch you. But it's just a fun game for everybody involved. There's nothing wrong with it. Use your treats as rewards, not for bribery, but for rewards. But you can also use that chase game as a reward.
Getting rid of the go-get game that your dog thinks is the single greatest thing in the history of the world, which he did.
The chase game can be dangerous if you do not control it and if you don't create that stop and go effect. But I do want to say that if this dog thinks it's the greatest thing in the world, why would we want to take that away from the dog if we can do it safely? I don't understand why we want to take the fun away for the dog just to make us feel better, to have that control. You can have both, guys. You just make sure you work on it in a controlled environment, in a safe environment, so that if it does happen in an environment that is not that safe, you can stop it quickly because you've actually communicated to the dog. I don't understand this whole stopping things that are fun for dogs just because it makes you feel better or because it's just inconvenient for you. I think there are definitely ways we can give them outlets for this, and if this dog thinks this is fun, then we need to make sure we give them an outlet.
Then over there, I pursued. He sat. You saw his ears. He was just kind of like, okay, this isn't fun. Then when I got him, I was not mean to him, but I was not super nice to him either.
It looked mean to me, and it looked mean to him. And if his ears were back, then he did not find that pleasant because it turned into, it looked like fun, and it was play until you became a bully and were talking really mean to him. So yeah, you weren't real nice. You got that part right. That is one part you got right. You are not nice to him.
As of which you shouldn't be. You can be in life, you can be super, oh my God, that was the greatest thing ever. I'm taking my kids to Disneyland. I'm giving my dog a pile of chicken. You can do that, and you can do times where you are not happy with them because they messed up or because you have to get rid of a behavior, the running away behavior. You got to get rid of it quickly. You want to get rid of it quickly. And so you got to go a little more on the punishing side or on the corrective side.
So just to wrap up this video, you don't have to go to the punishment correction side, right? So if you have management techniques and you're using long leads, you're using enclosed area, small enclosed area, or I don't know, you teach a good recall or you touch a good emergency recall, you wouldn't have problems with this game. So many times owners are kind of forced to think about what they don't want, and trainers like this focus on the bad behavior so they can correct it and punish it, so they can almost look like they're just, oh, look how good I am, I just punish this out of your dog. It's a lot harder to teach the things that you want and to get that consistent using positive techniques. It's harder, but it actually is much more proofed, meaning that it's going to work more in the real world than in the way that many of these are set up as kind of a scenario set up to when there are certain environmental cues in play, then you have to respond a certain way. The way that we deal with dogs like this, again, I talk about a good recall and then a good touch command, which is our emergency recall, which means we are rewarding it 100% of the time. I actually just used it the other day with my 13-week-old pup. We've been working on touch since she was about 7-8 weeks old, and she loves it. She does a great job, but I couldn't get her out from underneath the deck. She's small enough to get under the deck, eating a little bit of cat poop because they love to go under there. And so I did try my little let's go this way, and even I did my come, and she was just like, her little brain was just into that cat poop. So I pulled out my emergency recall cue, which is touch, and she immediately came running, touched my hand, got the reward, and then I gave her the option of going back under the deck if she wanted, or to come inside with me, or just to hang out outside. And she chose just to hang with me. So again, it's about learning how to teach the things you need. But at the same time, if I don't want her going under the deck, then I take her out on a leash, and I use a leash to control where she goes. That way, as the upper management and tour guide, I can set her up for success. If you do have a dog that you need to get, and you have a dog that's maybe nervous, we use the curve. The curve is a natural behavior that dogs will use themselves when they are greeting each other. So instead of walking face to face, they do a little arc. And we use it quite often. But anytime I'm meeting a new dog, or if I need to get a dog who is running from me, I will use the curve. I'm never confrontational. I'm never facing them and walking in a bully way. I'm using curves, and then I'm doing my squats, head turns, and I'm using calming signals to let the dog know that I am not being confrontational, I'm not trying to cause conflict, and that they can trust me to respect their signals. And I'm interested in developing a relationship with them. So here's a perfect example of the curve. The white dog is coming in, wants to meet the Rottie, doing a beautiful head turn. You can see that he's not doing a direct path. They are communicating back and forth with head turns. He's doing a nice curve, and he's only going to approach when she gives permission by making that eye contact. If you have this problem, be sure that you check out some of our other videos and look at the curve. And if you'd like to know more about dog language, we have a wonderful communication seminar on demand on our website that can teach you how dogs communicate, how that curve can be used, and how your body turns, head turns, quick licks, yawning, those things can be used to communicate to your dog that you're being non-confrontational. And that will help to communicate to the dog what it is that you need, instead of it looking like play. Even if you're angry and stomping after the dog, that can still look like play to your dog. So totally encourage you to teach behaviors, teach that recall, teach an emergency recall. Don't try to get rid of the game. You just want to control the game. Give your dog that outlet. Put a start command in, a stop command, so that your dog has that opportunity, especially if they love the game. It's not right to take that away from them. We just need to teach them how to do it in a safe way where we do have the ultimate control for safety purposes. For more info, follow us and subscribe.